Go Birds! Here's what's coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles. Now ESPN ranking the Eagles' skill position players and stacking them up against the other skill position players across the NFL. And Colin Cowherd, my personal favorite radio host, a guy who I listen to every single day, disrespecting the Philadelphia Eagles. So let's get it underway and let's get it cracking here on the program today. I'm Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for being here with us. So ESPN, with the fun exercise that I want to talk about here on the show, they ranked the top skill position groups across the NFL, which consisted of all of these teams mixed together with their running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. As for where the Eagles ranked among all 32 teams in the league, stay tuned for the unveiling of that. Bill Barnwell was assigned with this exercise, and he did a great job with it, kind of going deep dive with some of the analytical figures and trends here. Let's begin with this from Barnwell. After the Eagles traded for A.J. Brown on draft day in 2022, I wrote about the deal and how Brown had not been used often enough in Tennessee. In this space last year, I speculated that the Eagles would up Brown's usage to about 85%. What did he do? He racked up nearly 1,500 yards and 11 touchdowns and did so without giving up anything in terms of efficiency, as A.J. Brown ranked second in the NFL in yards per route run. DeVonta Smith, Philadelphia's other star wideout, ranked 18th among wideouts in the same category. It's incredible to think that this team was starting Travis Fulgham, Jalen Reagor, Greg Ward, and even the corpse of DeSean Jackson during the 2020 season. Think about that for a moment, right? The last portion of that quote. We're about to embark on the 2023 season. Can't wait for it. Make sure you subscribe. Our content's going to continue to be stellar. But we're about to start the 2023 season here with training camp coming up at the end of July 2020. We're not far removed from that when the weaponry was that suspect. That's a credit to Howie Roseman. Now, he drafted Jalen Reagor. That was a mistake. But then he drafts DeVonta Smith. He trades for A.J. Brown, and he's put together this collection of talent. And by the way, does Howie Roseman deserve credit for having the foresight to draft Jalen Hurts as well? And maybe he saw what Jalen Hurts could become at some point down the road. So that's the info on A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith, the combination at wide receiver that I think is one of the best 1-2 punches at wideout in the NFL. Now let's get to the most underrated tight end in the NFL. That is Dallas Goedert. Tight end Dallas Goedert, Barnwell said, and his numbers deflated a bit by how often he's asked to run block and by an injury that cost him 5 games last year. But he has been ruthlessly efficient. Over the past 2 years, his 2.4 yards per route run ranks second in the NFL, just behind Mark Andrews and ahead of Travis Kelce. It is a treat to be able to watch Dallas Goedert play. And throughout my lifetime, I'm 31 years old, I love how the Eagles have always done a great job of prioritizing the tight end position. And in today's NFL, given the landscape of how offenses matriculate down the field, having a tight end is really, really important. Let me say this about Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert is criminally underrated, and he continues to be overshadowed among some of the top tight ends in the league. His receiving production will never be up there with Travis Kelce because he's used differently in Philadelphia's offense than Kelce is used in Kansas City's offense, because Goedert is asked to block a lot more than Kelce, who could really just be slotted as a slot wide receiver and a glorified tight end in this league. Dallas Goedert is also the second best all-around tight end in the NFL when you factor in catching the football and blocking behind George Kittle, because he is a game changer in the blocking category. Yards per target leaders over the last 2 years, we talk about the efficiency with Goedert and how he's been up there among some of the top all-around pass catchers in the league. He ranks first in the NFL with 10.5 yards per target over the last 2 years. That's ahead of Kendrick Bourne, ahead of Tyler Lockett, Justin Jefferson, and T. Higgins. Stop sleeping on Dallas Goedert. He's a critical component to this Eagles offense, and while he hasn't had a massively productive receiving campaign so far, his impact on this Eagles offense has been profound. More from Barnwell on the Birds. The weak link for Philadelphia is at running back, but even the options there are interesting. In addition to the holdovers, Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott, the Eagles imported 2 new options, DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny. They have both been efficient when healthy, but neither has managed to stay on the field often as a pro. So we've talked about A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith. We talked about Dallas Goedert. We talked about the running backs. Again, skill position groups here. We're not factoring the quarterback at play. So this is ESPN's top 5. The San Francisco 49ers check in at number 1. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, a very good 1-2 punch at wide receiver. I would take A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith over those two slightly. George Kittle, slightly better than Dallas Goedert. I think what gives the Niners the edge here, Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. He's a really special playmaker. But for the Cincinnati Bengals to come in at number 2, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, they're great. Outside of that, though, Joe Mixon, really? Tight end? Question marks there. Philadelphia, I think it's a little bit disrespected here at number 3. Seattle Seahawks are interesting. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. They drafted Jackson Smith and Jigba, as well as Zach Charbonnet. And then the Los Angeles Chargers, they have a lot of talent for Justin Herbert. So here you take a look at the list here without my ugly mug on camera. What do you think about this list? Is it a good list, type G? Is it a trash list, type T? Down in the comment section. Sound off and let me know. 4th of July is coming up in less than a week. And Eagles 4th of July shirts are on sale right now thanks to our friends at Fanatics. They're only $20, ladies and gentlemen, but only if you use that link down below, chatsports.com/EaglesUSA. We'll put that link in the comment section and in the description of this video. It's also on the community tab on our YouTube channel here on Philadelphia Eagles. Now, we round out today's show with this. And I don't want to take shots at Colin Cowherd. I just frankly disagree with him because I frankly idolize Colin Cowherd. If I can be on a national stage making millions of dollars per year and have my own burger company, my own beer, podcast network that's worth millions, I'd love to do that at some point. I'm 31 years old right now, so I have some time to catch up to Colin Cowherd, but I just disagree with him here. He said that the Eagles could fall off a cliff this upcoming season here in 2023. And this is his argument. Now, credit to him and his team. They did a good job of looking at some of these recent teams who have fallen off a cliff a year after they've either won a Super Bowl, had a lot of success, or were a really good team. 2018, the Carolina Panthers went from 11-5 to 7-9. The Chargers in 2019, 12-4 to 5-11. The San Francisco 49ers, after they lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, they went from 13-3 to 6-10 after dealing with the rash of injuries. The New England Patriots, after Tom Brady left, 12-4 to 7-9. And then the Los Angeles Rams last year, they could not repeat as Super Bowl champions. They had a abysmal season, 12-5 to 5-12. So here's more from Cowherd on why he thinks the Eagles might decline here in 2023. Now, we have to tell you a team who we think is really good, but there are some blinking red lights. Jalen Hurts runs more than any quarterback since Lamar Jackson, and he got hurt last year. Little wide receiver drama with A.J. Brown. I disagree with that, and that's a national media type not knowing the situation in Philly because A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith never clashed with Jalen Hurts. Then he said leading rusher Miles Sanders has gone. The offensive line is really, really old. Nick Sirianni gave up play calling, and then they got really good. And they lost both coordinators, including the play caller in Shane Steichen. And the schedule, 10 teams that made the playoffs are on the schedule. From October 8th to December 17th, at Matthew Stafford, at Aaron Rodgers, Miami's high-powered offense, Cowboys, at Mahomes, Buffalo, San Francisco, at Dak, at Seattle. Long trips, a lot of trips, great quarterbacks week after week. That is a 10-game stretch with only one layup, and that's division rival Washington, a team that is more talented than they get credit for. Philadelphia is really good, but there are some blinking lights. Old offensive line, you lost your offensive coordinator, Jalen Hurts moves, the schedule is brutal, no breaks in the middle of the year, and you lost your leading rusher. There are some valid points behind what Colin Cowherd had to say there. I will say this, though. The schedule is tough in that middle portion, as he pointed out. You're taking on a lot of really good teams and really good quarterbacks. I'd like to see Jalen Hurts run the football a little bit less than what he did last year just because he's prone to getting injured. Losing Miles Sanders, I don't think is a massive deal. Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson, a little bit older. Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, they are not old at all. Again, I disagree with the wide receiver drama there. And Brian Johnson is a guy who's known Jalen Hurts for years and years and years because Jalen Hurts' dad coached Brian Johnson when he was in high school. And Brian Johnson is looked at as one of the top up-and-coming play callers across the NFL. And I think that kinship, that relationship with Jalen Hurts is going to allow this Eagles offense to not really take a major step back heading into this upcoming season. Where it's really important for Philadelphia, given that middle portion of the schedule, starting the season off hot. And sometimes that's really difficult to do when you're coming off a Super Bowl defeat. Week 1 against the Patriots, Week 2 against the Vikings, Week 3 against the Bucks, Week 4 Commanders, Week 5 Rams. Those are 5 games right there where the Eagles are no doubt the better team. You start off 5-0, even with that West Coast trip all the way out to Inglewood, California, and you set yourself up for a buffer zone to maybe absorb some of those losses in the middle portion of the schedule, which then begins after the slate that we just talked about. Aaron Rodgers, the Dolphins, Commanders, Cowboys, Chiefs, Bills, Niners, Cowboys, Seahawks. And then to round out the season, you have the Giants 2 times in 3 weeks. It is difficult. That's what happens when you're really successful. But the Eagles team, it's a really good unit heading into this year. So let's round out with this. Will the Eagles be better or worse than they were last year? B for better, W for worse. Share your thoughts once again. Don't forget to subscribe. And we'll catch you next time here on Philadelphia Eagles Now.